I mean, big mood there from Ron Artest. 14 years ago today, Kobe Bryant, Artest, and the Lakers denied the Celtics from getting their 18th banner.
What?
Producer Greg, duh. But one championship, 6 coaches later, the Lakers are still in pursuit of the same. As Woj reported on Friday, J.J. Redick interviewed with the Lakers this weekend. So while we wait to hear the details of how that interview went, one has to ask, Shanae, is a new head coach enough when we're looking in our crystal balls of next season, knowing the West is coming, for the Lakers to get back into contention?
It's not. I'm sorry. There's not like one situation, one Band-Aid that can fix everything that needs surgery, okay? What they need is to be able to have someone that can provide accountability, leadership, and also understand the ecosystem of the Western Conference, which I'm assuming whoever is the head coach will do that. But at the end of the day, this team was a team that was not good enough based off of where the direction the Minnesota Timberwolves were, where the Denver Nuggets are, where the Dallas Mavericks are currently are, to compete based off of roster construction. You have to have a vision, which is why getting them in place, getting a head coach in place before the draft is a great start for that.
I mean, time is ticking.
Time is definitely ticking. So I think the coach is a good step in the right direction, but then you have to go to team, you have to go to personnel, you have to go to offensive vision, you have to go defensive position, and then you have to think about the future of the franchise.
That's like a whole binder.
So look, there's another checklist. There's a segment I want to pitch for next season. It's a checklist. They have a lot to mark off.
Shanae's checklist. I love the alliteration there.
Let me turn my hat backwards. Sip my $800 bottle of wine, like JJ on the podcast.
I was going to say, when have you sipped $800?
Think about my answer. No, the coach is not enough to turn the Lakers back into a contender. This is the Western Conference. The Western Conference is a completely different animal. Now, they're going to have picks to trade this summer. They're going to try to trade them for an impact player. The players, the roster have to improve for them to become a real contender in the Western Conference. It's not getting any easier at the top, at the bottom, or in the middle. This has been a play-in team almost every year.
That's crazy to think about the Lakers being the team that is, quote-unquote, competing for championships, only one season finishing better than 7th.
Well, the coach really don't have a choice, and that's the gift and the curse of having LeBron James and Anthony Davis on your team, because long as you got those two on your roster, every single year it is going to be about competing for a title and being a team that's a title contender, right? Because there's nothing less than that, especially having LeBron. Do I think they're going to be? No, but the expectations are going to be for them to actually go out there and win the championship. No other way around it. Whatever coach comes in, again, he got to make sure he put the right system in place. There's got to be an Anthony Davis hire, and you got to find ways, if they do keep Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, those guys, how can you put them in position offensively to be more successful?
Perk, I know we talk about La La Land a lot.
Yeah.
Are we in La La Land, though? Is there a realistic expectation for them to win a championship considering what the West looks like?
I mean,
because if that's what they're coming in saying, we have to have a coach that fixes that, I feel like that's a little bit unrealistic.
I mean, that's the gift and the curse of having LeBron. I ain't saying I didn't even want to talk about this. I'm pissed off at Jaron.
Okay, all right. Calling our producers
You know
out
why?
now.
You know why?
Why?
Because you don't bring up that 2010 moment when your boy Big Perk sitting here when I was sitting on the sideline with a torn ACL. I don't want to care about.
How about 2008 in the Celtics?
Yeah,
we can bring that up.
Could have brought that up.
Well, how about we'll check in on the rest of the league, see what's going on outside of these NBA finals. We'll get back to those in just a minute. But how about a little chop it or drop it, right? Because the NBA draft is just 9 days away. There are plenty of questions about not only who will go number 1, but what team will draft Bronny James?
Will you
so
be taking Bronny
chop
James
it or drop
at 50 or 51?
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb here and predict that he goes quite a bit higher than that.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
Sounds like 36 then.
Ooh, I don't want to get, I've been fined enough this year during the playoffs.
All right. So what do you think, Shanae? Chop it or
Respectfully,
drop it?
is it okay if we drop it? Because I want to put my energy into learning who's going to go number 1 overall as a potential franchise-altering move, and I got to get my education up. I'm excited for Bronny to make the NBA, but I'd rather chop it up on the top 10.
Fair enough. I will say Jonathan Gavoni in our latest mock draft does have Bronny James mocked at 55 to the Los Angeles Lakers. But you said drop it, so we will. Let's move on. It's not just the draft that could impact the NBA landscape this offseason. Joel Embiid made that clear to free agent Paul George on NBA Countdown Friday.
hopefully, this offseason we find a way to get better and, add some pieces. And, yeah, so.
Add some pieces. I mean, to be honest, that question should have went to both of them.
It was a party on set, let me tell you that in Game 4. But PG, should he head east and form a big three in Philly, Perk?
He definitely should consider it, and I'm going to go out on a limb like Rick Carlisle say, hell yeah, he should.
Are we chopping it?
Yeah, we chopping it. We so not dropping it. We got to chop this situation. When you think about this, do you want to stay with the Clippers in a tough Western Conference?
Right.
Right now, when it comes down to Paul George, it's about competing and giving yourself the best shot to win the championship. The only team that you fear in the Eastern Conference, and it's a big fear, is the team that's in the finals right now, and that's the Boston Celtics. Other than that, it's wide open. Now you get to go pair up with arguably the most skilled big to ever play the game of basketball and a rising young superstar in Tyrese Maxey, and they got the dollars to pay you.
Paul George's agents must have loved that little sign, that little glance that Joel gave over there, because there's a game of chicken going on right now between the Clippers and Paul George. You really going to Philly? You really want to leave Los Angeles, the team you chose and came here with Kawhi Leonard? Really? Well, okay, we'll see. Well, that was a nice little indication that something, who knows? But I agree with Perk. Like, if I'm just going basketball, right, and the Clippers stand pat, essentially. They get James Harden back, they get PG back, maybe they get a minimum guy who helps a little bit, versus Maxey, George, Embiid in the Eastern Conference. I think that team has a better chance in Philly, theoretically, of making the finals than the Clippers, who it's just year after year they're not whole in the playoffs. They're not healthy in the playoffs, but that may not be his number one driving priority.
You know why it might be high risk, high reward, too? Because it is still risky potentially going to Philly. If we're criticizing, Paul George being able to be out there alongside Kawhi Leonard, who gets injured, I mean, Joel Embiid was not healthy through and just came back and still was not playing 100%. So it's still a little bit risky going. But if the vision is take the pressure off of Joel Embiid so he doesn't have to play so many games and is able to have a running mate that can hold down the fort alongside Tyrese Maxey, maybe I believe in that vision more so than what we have seen with the Clippers.
All I know is if they had Paul George this year, we talking about them in the Eastern Conference Finals, possibly pushing the Celtics to 7 games.
Well, that's Joel Embiid was saying if he was healthy, he doesn't think that the Eastern Conference would have shaken out the way that it did. I will give PG credit, though. His poker face during that entire impromptu segment was absolutely elite.
If ifs were fifths, we'd all be drunk.
That part. All right, last up, Klay Thompson has a free agency decision to make of his own this summer. The 4-time champ unfollowed the Warriors on Instagram this weekend, and Draymond Green was among the countless that noticed. Take a listen.
I think it's hilarious. Just so y'all know, I laughed when I logged on here and Jackson's like, yo, so what about Klay? I'm like, what? Like, what happened? He's like, oh, he unfollowed the Warriors. I think that's comical. I know you all be wanting like somebody's feelings to be hurt or something. It ain't that, ain't never gonna be that. That's hilarious.
I mean, Richard Jefferson doesn't follow any of us on social media.
Does he not?
We feel sorry for his
I'm blocking him.
It might be the company. Do you think that it's realistic, Zach, that Klay Thompson we could have seen him play his last game with the Golden State Warriors?
First of all, we're absolutely chopping it because this is Klay Thompson. This is a Hall of Famer, 4-time champion, one half of the Splash Brothers, the greatest backcourt probably in the history of the NBA. Of course we're chopping it. I want these guys as a basketball fan, Steph, Draymond, Klay, go out in the sunset together. But maybe Klay Thompson doesn't want that. Maybe the Warriors don't want that. They're both at a crossroads right now. Klay's going to have opportunities for more money or maybe more winning. I don't know what his driving motivation is going to be. But I do think there's a chance that there's drama here. I think there's hurt feelings here between Klay and the Warriors, and I think he's open for business.
Oh, now we want to chop it. I've been talking about chopping it up all season long when it came down to trade. Klay, I thought they should have traded him at the trade deadline because we knew this was going to happen, and all of a sudden he's showing how he really feels. He felt disrespected by the offer that they gave him, watching everybody else get $100+ million. I think Klay is out.
To me, what spoke is that Draymond Green, normally when we see him public, he's riding with his brothers. This is the first time we're saying, oh, this is comical. Typically he comes to his brother's defense, so I think there is some drama there.
Well, everyone maybe just wanted to